A very good morning to you. It is the start of a new week. It's the Public Relations Podcast and newsletter, and hopefully I've got a few ideas that you can actually try out this week again in your organization. Coming up today, how to make your organization more environmental. Quite a bit on that. How to make a mini documentary series on your organization on a micro budget with just you doing it, and how to decide if you should use advertising instead of PR. It's a couple of the things, but first of all, wow. I brought back the series 2 weeks ago, actually, because there's been a bit of a delay for this episode. But the Public Relations Podcast newsletter hadn't been going for 3 years, and wow, the response has been absolutely incredible. The download numbers alone put it into the top 25% of all podcasts out there. So thank you so much. This is all about you and about me sharing ideas together. So it is absolutely wonderful that this show is connecting with so many people and that you're finding value from it. I'm actually going to start emailing people soon. So if you are signed up to the newsletter, then you're going to be getting an email from me because I really want to find out what you need from this show. So keep an eye out for that. And if you're not signed up to the newsletter, then frankly, you're missing out on half of the whole of this project. The podcast is this kind of overview where I run through some of the ideas that you can try this week and I run through some of the steps. But there's so many more examples and there's more articles and more details in the newsletter. Oh, one of the articles I've got in the newsletter this week is about the winner of the Worst Press Release Award competition. I actually tweeted about this on my social media last week. Let's just say that press release, when it arrived in the newsroom I was working at the time, completely failed. So if you're interested in that, it's the usual website, publicrelationspodcast.com. Let's talk about the environment. And this is going to be our sort of practical step-by-step exercise this week. So if you're on the train or in the car, keep your eyes focused on the road if you're in the car. But let's run through this. First of all, the question really is how can you make your organization be more environmentally aware and make people perceive you as being more environmental? If you look at some research that was done back in December 2020, I think it was 2020, they did a survey of employee attitudes around the environment of where people chose to work. And what they found was that in the results that 65% of people said they were more likely to work for a company with strong environmental policies. Now, of course, it is hard to prove if this is really going to affect respondents because we couldn't tell whether they were going to be actually applying for a job at that point. But the point is that environmental consciousness is obviously blindingly obvious how important and how much people are thinking about it now. This brings me to Earth Day on April the 22nd, which is coming up fairly soon, and it is probably one of the best supported environmental days. There's obviously loads of environmental days out there, but this is one that is good to latch onto because there's so much going on around it. So let's now think about how you can get across the message about what you are doing environmentally. Step one, so have a think about this. If you're on the train, you can shut your eyes and imagine this if you like, but if not, just picture it in your head. So the first thing you've got to ask yourself is this. By doing this, by getting involved in Earth Day, is that going to connect with your audience? Now, the reason I say this is because although the environment, of course, is a worthy cause, if your audience are going to react badly to that, or they're not going to react at all, then, of course, carry on doing environmental stuff for the sake of the planet. But think about whether this is something you should be doing and whether it is going to connect. To give you a really crude, simple example, there's no point trying to promote gun control to a gun club, okay? It's not going to work. So first of all, is your audience, are the people you're trying to reach to develop a connection with in your role as a PR, going to respond to something about the environment? If that's a big check, then let's move on. What have you done? Think about what your organization has actually done. Often people kind of go, oh, I can't think of anything. But if you think about it, there's always something. Now, COVID obviously caused us all to have less meetings, caused us all to travel less. So don't sort of go, oh, we're doing 60% less meetings, and then someone be able to come back and say, well, that was because of COVID. What have you genuinely done? Are staff cycling more to work? Are you having less meetings? Are people going into the office less and using their cars less? Just brainstorm, what can you think of that people have been doing that could have an impact on the planet? The next step, be honest. Okay, the temptation sometimes can be to try and spin these things. Certainly in the early era of PR, when all you had to do was put out a press release and no one could really find out the truth, and they didn't have Twitter to share that either, people got away with all kinds. But nowadays, if you've said something, you're going to get caught out, and it could well be a member of the staff or a member of your organization using a different username so you don't know who they are that could reveal it. So Be honest about this. As I say, don't fib about COVID having this impact on it. Just think honestly, what have you done? What have you actually done? The next step is think about what criticism you might get. Now, if you play devil's advocate, we've all tried this before, think about what you are about to say about what we've achieved. And then think, you might want to spend some more time a little bit later on today, maybe 10 minutes thinking about this. What might people say if I said this is something that we're doing to help the environment? And the easiest way to defend this is to have evidence of what you did and finally share it. Use the hashtags. Earth Day has got a hashtag itself. I've got a resource in the newsletter this week which links to a bunch of the hashtags that they're using, but you can find all this stuff on Google as well. So think about what you've been doing. Think about whether it's going to connect to the audience. Be honest. Be prepared for any kind of comeback on it, and then use those hashtags to show that you are getting on board with Earth Day, that you're an environmental organization, and that this is what you've been doing for that. I've got a few other tips, a few other links, all that kind of stuff in the newsletter too. www.thepublicrelationspodcast.com. Right, moving on. What about a mini series, a mini documentary series about your organization? The temptation whenever you talk about videos that people think, oh gosh, I need a big production crew, or this is going to cost a lot of money, which is really quite silly when you think about it, because how many of us have recorded little videos in our phones before? Remember, people don't react to these highly glossy, polished corporate videos. They react to authentic videos. So you could be doing this. You could be making just a very short social media series about your organization, talking to the people in it very, very easily. So what I've done this week in the newsletter is to talk about some of the kit that you can use to actually get set up. And this will be the first part of a mini series I'm going to do on this about how to create your own mini documentary. First of all, camera. Use your phone. People often talk about using 4K video or even 5K video now, high resolution video, but how many people notice whether you're running a fairly low quality video on a mobile phone compared to a full HD that you would watch on a big widescreen TV? They don't. All you need is your phone. As long as it can record a reasonable quality, that's it. The microphone. 2 recommendations on this. There are obviously loads of options, but these are 2 that I've used in the past. A Rode VideoMic Me. This is one that you can actually clip directly into your phone, and it's like a little telescopic mic. And what I mean by that is that when you point it at the person you're talking to, it picks up their voice better than all the surrounding sounds. So you get a far clearer sound, but without having to clip mics to them or hold an external mic or anything like that. So Rode VideoMic Me or a Rode VideoMic. This is a bigger one that you can actually attach on top of your phone, or if you're using some kind of handheld camera, you could use it for that too. Again, you've got to make sure though that it will fit to your particular device. I would love to give you some specific advice on this, but there's so many different types out there now. If you search for those, you will almost certainly find adapters or some advice on how to connect them. And finally, do you need a big lighting rig? No, you absolutely do not need a big lighting rig. The secret to lighting is to get the light in front of the person you're filming. I could show you so many examples of this stuff. Just simply, if you're in a room, switch on the light, get it in front of them. If not, go outside. Natural lighting is incredibly effective as well, but get the sun in front of them. If you're indoors and you need a bit more lighting, then obviously bump up the lights. Get a table lamp pointed at them. I've used that before, literally a lamp on a desk, and pointed it at someone's face in order to get better quality. So that's the first part, the equipment part of making our mini documentary. And now the big question of the week. Should you even bother doing PR, or should you just pay for advertising? You know, everyone's got an opinion on this, right? As to the best way to reach people. The fact is, no one is right. Which tool you use is always going to come down to what your goals are. And I'm going to use the example, it's going to sound weird this, but I'm going to use the example of Hollywood stars to illustrate the point. Now, it might sound odd this, but bear with me, okay? Hollywood movie stars are buying up soccer clubs around the world. One example is Ryan Reynolds, who bought Wrexham FC, which is a soccer club in the United Kingdom. And this has certainly made some noise. He and his business partner paid £2 million for that, and it obviously got him a lot of publicity at the beginning. But the thing is that every time he now does something, he gets even more publicity, but in the football press, not the movie press. Now, I am sure they've done their research and they know exactly who their demographic are, who like Ryan Reynolds movies. And part of those people are bound to be soccer fans. So if you think about the average cost of a major film marketing budget is about 35 million US dollars globally. But does that marketing material reach soccer-loving people quite as well as a star who is supporting their sport? You know, we often think it's only worth supporting people in our space or talking to people in our space. But if you're representing an accounting firm, why not talk about sailing? You know, I bet many sailors need accountants too. So think about your goals. This is a key always. Where are the people you're trying to reach? What do they talk about? Not what you want to talk about this time, but what do they like talking about? Because if you can talk about that too, they could warm to you, and that means you'll develop a conversation, and that means you can develop business and leads. Quick one. Are you around? I'm going to be traveling a bit this year, so if you are around on any of these dates, it would be absolutely wonderful to meet up with you. I'm going to be in the Cotswolds in the UK on the 24th of April. I'm going to be in Iceland, in Reykjavik, on the 30th of April. I'm going to be in Porto, in Portugal, on the 3rd and 4th of June, speaking at WordCamp EU, which is all about WordPress. It's a big conference. I'm talking about podcasting there and developing connections through podcasting. And I'm going to be in Athens, in Greece, in early July. If you are around on any of those days, it would be absolutely wonderful to meet up, just to share ideas. So if you fancy having a coffee and you're around on any of those, just let me know. If you signed up to the newsletter, you already know what the email address is for getting in contact with me. So I hope you found something useful here. We've got the week ahead still ahead of us. Don't forget, all the extra details, the links and all that kind of stuff are in the newsletter, which will be coming out on Wednesday. The plan is podcast Mondays, newsletter Wednesdays. So that will be coming out very soon. And if you want to sign up for that, it is the usual place. thepublicrelationspodcast.com. thepublicrelationspodcast.com. Next time, it's Hug a Plumber Day. I'm not kidding either. I'm talking about the people who come and do your toilet and come and do your bath and stuff like that. Hug a Plumber Day is our diary date next time. How could that apply to the organization you're in, and what could potentially be some of the pitfalls? There's so much more stuff. Looking forward to hearing from you during the week. Have a wonderful week. I hope this has given you some ideas that can help you promote your organization and get it across and build some real genuine connections with the people that you're trying to reach.